WolfPunch. Now we're done talking because you started recording. Everyone got just calm down.
It was weird.
We skipped a week. So
why don't you try it? See how similar it sounds to the actual.
No, because I like. Well, okay. Wait, the wolf punch thing?
Yeah, like the intro.
Do it live.
Do it live.
Hold on. Wolf punch like that.
Here's the problem. We've talked about this. Is I can always picture you every time I hear that recording, and when you were doing it in the privacy of your own home, I know you were serious.
Sure.
You just said wolf punch.
Yeah,
like,
you were.
Yeah.
You had too much of a grin here. Where
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
There was no whimsy.
Yeah.
No, none
no
at
whimsy.
all. Anyway.
So today we're talking about the top 5 movies of 2017.
Well, not the, but our.
Last
How
year.
about that?
And not even
First of all,
Yeah.
first of all,
each one of us individually.
Yeah.
it just each one of us has our own truth here. And so I have my top 5, and each of you will have yours.
True.
We're here with Zane Parmenter
What's up?
and Michael Kemp
Yo.
and Dan Hines,
Howdy doody.
Kyle Miller,
They already know I'm here.
and where's Waldo? That's me.
Oh, it was a joke.
Yes, he pointed at himself.
Yeah, and he looks like him if you've ever seen him.
Anyone who's
Except now you got blue stripes on. You look like a nautical Waldo. Like
we don't need to describe shit they
can't.
can't see. I'm just saying
the white stripes.
You were Waldo, and if nobody has seen you.
everyone who listens to this podcast knows what I look like.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's true.
And if not, this is Where's Waldo Extreme Edition, where you just can't win.
Find the voice of Waldo.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, we were trying to fit a time frame here, but we just got a little derailed.
Yeah, fuck it.
So when he says we're doing the top 5 movies of 2017, we're doing each one of our own individual top 5 lists.
Even though there are 5.
There were 5 of us.
We
We
could
each
just
could
all
have picked
pick
a
one.
movie, and then they were like, these were the best.
That would have been, yeah.
But
That would have been
we
smart.
just now said that, and we already decided. Yeah, no, we're smart. What we did is somebody else talk now.
No, you're doing a great job. I thought you were.
I'm done.
I thought you were okay.
I-
Actually, how about you start us off, Kyle?
Oh, you are a dickhead.
What are your top 5?
My top 5
movies of
movies of 2017. Number 1 for me was obviously 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Obviously.
Takes the cake, bar none. Sorry, Dan. Number 2 for me is Logan. Really liked Logan. I don't know if they learned that on the last podcast or not. I didn't really think that through.
I think you might have mentioned that you liked it.
Briefly.
Barely.
Then I liked, what was that other movie with the kid in the car? Baby Driver.
In the car.
And,
Cars for Kids. I love that commercial.
Yeah.
it's a fucking Fisher Price, yeah.
Took a second.
Yeah. No,
That's what it's called.
Kevin
In the car.
Spacey,
What
actually has a little boy in his car in that movie.
He does.
And now you're like, this is tasteless.
Yes.
Now it's a bad movie.
They're actually going back and refilming it and taking out his scene.
They're putting
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer in place of the little boy. It's just cheaper.
Yeah.
And Marky Mark will make a lot of money off of it.
Duh.
And then get called out and have to donate it
Yeah.
afterwards.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Where are we?
Topical.
Yeah, this is topical
so
shit,
number
guys.
4 for me is I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It was a straight to Netflix movie.
It was a biopic about you, right?
Yeah. It was.
Who's in that?
You know what?
Because I've never seen it.
Frodo is in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And the girl from 2.5 Men?
Yeah.
Wow, you guys
Charlie
are nailing
Sheen.
this.
There's a girl in 2.5 Men?
Yeah.
Like consistently?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Cryer.
she's like a stalker. So far, you've called the men in the show.
The kid next. Nah, that was Kevin Spacey. Shit.
Oh my god.
And then
Cut.
I shouldn't have started us off.
No, this is perfect.
It's
good. It's good. This is amazing. Anyway.
And then I also number 5. I think I'm going to give to Brawl in Cell Block 99. It's a cheesy, goofy movie, but I had a lot of fun with
It's
it.
called Extremely Goofy Movie.
Shut your mouth. Also, special shout out to Wind River while I have the floor. Anyway.
Well, I mean, same way about Brawl and some. Who's in that?
Oh. Brawl and
Vince Vaughn.
Cell Block 99.
Josh
Motion
Brolin.
picture. Will you? I make the jokes on this show, Michael. I like
Sorry.
Josh Brolin.
My dad actually called me the other night, and he told me that I needed to watch this movie because Vince Vaughn's a fucking badass.
He's the best fucker people upper, like, way more than you would expect.
Not just people, cars too.
Cars, too, he beats the shit out of a car.
He beats the shit out of Lightning McQueen.
He crashes the thing of the past, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely like a movie your dad will watch. It's the second movie by S. Craig Zoller, who wrote and directed Bone Tomahawk. He also did several novels that I've read that I was a fan of because I like violence. And if you like violence, basically this is a movie where Vince Vaughn is still funny but not as funny, and Hollywood reminds you that he's actually giant.
Yeah.
Like he's like a 6'5" bald guy in this movie that just starts breaking bones with every punch, and it gets so much fun. All the bone snapping, you look like you're excited to see it.
No, I just was shocked that my dad decided that this was like something he needed to call me
Yes.
and tell me. Like, I need to see this movie. I was shocked.
It's a good, like, it has a real 70s, like, grindhouse vibe to it.
Okay.
And the movie starts off played, like, almost painfully straight, and then everything just escalates to, like, a goofy extreme.
It's weird that you keep using the word goofy.
For a
Because
violent
it's kind of
movie.
true, but it's also, like, really violent.
Okay,
It
yeah.
takes itself deadly serious too the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does not play this off like kind of like Machete
Yeah.
style goofy.
No.
It's like a
That's such a
dark-
good movie.
yeah, it's like a dark kind of like just
Okay,
real.
let me put it this way. I was laughing a lot in the movie. The lady that I believe was on a date sitting next to me didn't enjoy the violence as much. And it made me feel bad for laughing, but you know, it's like I paid $6.50 just like everyone else. I can have my reaction.
I can do what I want.
But you know, I mean, it's a good, it's an interesting movie to mention. Don't know if I would put it anywhere close to the top 5 for me. But
Okay, well, one thing that I wanted to point out is this is a movie that I recommended to like several friends at like bars hanging out, and then they watched it and they were like, "Dude, that was a fun movie."
well, it's a case where like we don't, you know, Hollywood doesn't necessarily know what to do with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, but S. Craig Zoller does.
But lately, he's been getting like more serious roles, and it's like kind of weird to see Vince Vaughn as an action hero, but at the same time, it makes sense because the guy's like kind of huge.
He looks like he never sleeps, and he can just, he's constantly angry. It was great. He did a really good job in the movie. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good movie.
And I watched it with Dan and Yezin. I pointed it out opposite ones, but they didn't see it. I didn't need to point that out.
But I mean, you also mentioned Baby Driver.
Yes,
What was that? Was like your number 3.
that was my number 3.
That's going to show up on a lot of these lists.
Yes.
And I feel like that one deserves.
It was almost my number 2, but then I rewatched it around Christmas time.
And it wasn't the shit.
You know what? It wasn't as good on a rewatch.
That is true. I just watched it over the weekend, and it's still my number 1, but it definitely doesn't. It lost.
You guys sound so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
You know,
I really
I'm
sound
like-
excited.
No, we're just being real.
Just like
Keep
in the
it real
movie,
here.
wheels are turning up here, and I'm like thinking
Right.
it might be my least favorite Edgar Wright movie.
Oh, really?
I would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
More than Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, see, like, I feel like whenever I say that that's my least favorite of the Cornetto trilogy, you
And
take
stop-
that as a jumping point to shit talk it. But Shaun of the Dead is actually really good, and
more
every
than-
time I rewatch
More than
it,
Scott Pilgrim.
yeah,
Wow.
maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I really like Baby Driver.
It's good. It's a very good movie.
I think that weirdly, it's like it showed up on like 4 of our lists, and spoiler alert. But the thing is, we're not going to spoil any of these movies today. So
Hopefully.
Just so you know.
Unless I forget.
Oh boy. But no, I actually think that we started out kind of on a negative foot with Baby Driver, but it is actually like a really great movie that came out this year.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's very good.
Reaffirmed like that good movies can be made to me, because before
Original movies, not like
in general, because before
Spider-Man.
that I've been watching like so many movies that I've just been let down. Like, this isn't that great. What's
Yeah.
Hollywood doing? And then I saw Baby Driver, and that was like, I felt like a little kid again walking out of that theater.
See, I don't think you can blame an entire industry when you decide to go see King Arthur.
Hey, King Arthur wasn't that bad.
All right.
I enjoyed it.
Is it on your list?
It's not on my list,
Thank
but it's
God.
a nice.
It might be an
runner-up.
honorable mention.
yeah.
I hear you. Yeah.
It's there.
I feel like we've already mentioned it too much. But no, I think that Baby Driver actually like plays itself really well. It was one of the best heist movies I've seen in a long time. Though I'm not necessarily a heist movie guy, I think the acting in it is superb from every person on that cast. Yes, even it does have Kevin Spacey, and I know that it's kind of weird to
Yep.
but you know, John Hamm is there too,
Yeah.
and
Hamming it up.
he is just fine as a guy.
See, I
apparently.
skipped those obvious ones.
Oh, yeah. Sure you do.
Low-hanging fruit.
Sure you do, Kyle.
Low hanging ham on that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
But yeah, I think that you know it's got John Hamm just knocks it out of the park
Oh, yeah.
in a role that you would not. That I don't know if he's ever done before. Like without
I'd say
getting
he was born to
spoilers.
play.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have Jamie Foxx, who also just kills it. And
He was really good.
I've seen it 3 times. First time was great. Second time, I did experience that sort of like that didn't live up to the first time. And then third time, it's real great again.
We just need to watch it a third.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
need to
that's
watch
the
it a
key.
third time. Third time's the charm, because then everything really kind of comes together, and it feels like a really well put together movie. Edgar Wright is kind of unique in his ability to kind of play with, like, I guess I'd call it physical comedy.
Oh yeah, and he's just like the best at like rapid editing.
Oh, yeah.
This movie
Oh,
better win a
absolutely.
butt ton of awards for that shit. because
Probably won't.
It
But
will.
No.
I think maybe sound design. I think the
Sound design at least.
in the movie was phenomenal.
But like they
It was
also
awesome.
like for like the laundromat, they couldn't get like they wanted all of the clothes to be spinning
At
in
the
sync,
same
and they
time.
didn't have like a switch where they could do that.
Yeah.
They had to like
Manually put the quarters in.
manually put the
do it.
quarters in between takes. It's like the amount of detail that went into this movie is
Yeah.
insane. I'm sorry that I was shit talking it earlier because that's just what I always go to. It is a very good movie, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, it's it's
It's got a bitchin' soundtrack. It's awesome.
That's pretty good.
it does.
Got a
And
Blur song. I was pumped about that.
I mean, while we're talking about soundtrack, one thing I would point out is a lot of people went into that movie thinking, oh, it's going to be like a musical, like a heist, but everything is set to music. No, it does. I mean, music does play a huge role, but it is a movie. There are points where music isn't playing, and
Well, it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy where it's like in the forefront in a scene. Where like
Right.
the music's always in the background of the movie. For the
I would
most
say
part.
that opening scene is
except
like-
when it's purposeful.
Sure, okay.
That's Edgar Wright. Like he's gonna do everything purposefully.
I think it's weird. I don't know. I guess
Yeah, like,
that's valid. But
whenever he's not listening to music, you can hear like the
humming.
the hum and the drums.
Yeah.
They talk.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
but
exactly.
when the thing is like we're not always hearing the music he's listening to.
sure.
For example, there's sometimes he's listening to music and we're just watching a scene.
Yeah, true. I like.
Yeah.
No, it does bother me. Like when that movie first came out, and like I couldn't shut up about it, and I was like grabbing people on the street and yelling, "Go see Baby Driver." They'd be like,
Terrifying.
they'd be like, "Oh, I heard that was a musical," and I'd be like, "Do I fucking look like I watch musicals? 'Cause I love them." And then, but it's not like if you expect a musical, you're gonna be disappointed. Or like when people say, "Well, I heard that movie's really more about the music." I guess that's really just whatever you're into, because you don't have to give a fuck about music. I didn't know almost any of the songs
Yeah.
before I went in. It's still a really good movie.
Great ride, Baby Driver. Go see it.
Woof.
Yeah.
It's a
Couldn't
great
handle that.
ride.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we
Also-
got it.
Again, low-hanging ham. Don't go for those ones.
Low hanging ham. Also, he's not a baby.
Oh yeah, it's not
No,
like the
it's
sequel to like Boss Baby.
This isn't some
or
boss
something.
baby geniuses shit.
Oh my goodness.
He's a guy named Baby.
Yeah, that's his name, Baby.
But he does drive.
He's a
Yeah.
driver.
He does drive.
But
Very well.
we also admitted that this is a spoiler-free review, so if there's a twist at the end where it does turn out he was a baby the whole time,
In a
We won't tell
man
you.
costume. It was just a bunch of babies stacked on top of each other inside of like a man suit.
here's the thing: is he?
I mean, I always thought Ansel Elgort was a bunch of babies.
Yeah.
That's why Kevin Spacey wanted to work on this movie.
Damn it!
Oh
Beat me to
no.
it.
Why am I here?
Oh man.
Oh.
All right. Well,
All right.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we not allowed to make fun of Kevin Spacey
No,
now?
we totally can. It is totally fair game.
yeah.
Make fun of him as much.
Hope I didn't hurt your feelings, Kevin Spacey.
You jerk. All right.
He's surely listening.
Yeah.
He probably is gonna unsubscribe now because he
Oh no.
because we were making fun of him.
Now we're down to 2 listeners.
Oh
Wait. Please don't go.
no.
All right. Whatever. Dan.
Okay, moving on. My top 5 in no particular order were Mother, Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Last Jedi, Lady Bird, and a Japanese animated film named Your Name. I know 2 of these, especially, aren't on anyone else's list, Mother and Your Name. So I'm just going to take a brief moment to talk about those a little bit. Mother, in case you don't know, that is the Jennifer Lawrence, Darren Aronofsky film, which... It's one of those movies you enjoy more the less you know about it going into it.
I thought you were gonna say the less you see it. I was like,
It's a
whoa.
very divisive film. Lots of people hate it. Lots of people love to hate on it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's immensely uncomfortable at the beginning. Jennifer Lawrence lives in a house with her husband, and then he has writer's block and is trying to write a new novel. And then slowly but surely they get unwanted house guests that come in and start like messing up the place. And it's a very slow burn, tension driven film. And then it just escalates little by little to the end where it's just like a complete total descent into chaos. And like there are things I saw in that movie that I just honestly never thought I would see on a big screen for a movie that was put out by a major studio and with major like bankable named actors and actresses in it. Go check it out if you want to feel uncomfortable and be sad about stuff.
I'm going to be honest, that was a hell of an endorsement.
Yeah.
Now
I
I...
want to see it.
Yeah, I'm not being sarcastic. I love being miserable and sad. That's me all day, every day.
Every
You
day.
sold
Yeah.
us. You sold 2 of us.
Well, yeah. My
There you
job's
go.
partially done. And then moving on to the other movie that I know no one else here has seen. It's a Japanese anime called Your Name, or in Japanese, Kimi no Nawa.
I've heard good things.
It was a really big deal in Japan and most of the other country, and like for us weeaboo nerds who are into that kind of dumb shit, it's pretty popular in the scene. It's set in modern day Tokyo for the most part, and it follows 2 teenagers named Mitsuha and Taki. One lives in the rural countryside, and the other lives in downtown Tokyo. And one day they end up swapping bodies unknowingly, so they find out like what each other's lives are like, just completely different environments. So then they start like writing messages to each other, being like, "Hey, stop flirting with this guy. That's weird. Like, I'm not into him." And it kind of like plays off this dynamic of like, not really like young love, but like just them coming of age and understanding like a different part of life. And it's just like a really heartfelt slice of life segment, but then takes a bit more of a dramatic turn in the second half, which I don't want to get too close into spoiler territory or anything like that. But it's one of the most honest and heartfelt films I've seen in a long time. And I highly recommend checking it out if you have the chance.
So this is a remake of Freaky Friday?
If only. But with more disaster porn in it, actually.
And less Lindsay Lohan.
Thank God, yeah.
I
Bummer.
thought he said more disaster.
Disaster porn,
I like how I set him up and you got it right now.
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. If Dan likes it, that's when I know I did good.
Because I'll laugh at anything.
Yeah, you're easy.
Yeah, it's true.
You're the Lindsay Lohan of this podcast.
Oh my god.
You were just like on fire tonight, insulting
I didn't
celebrities.
sleep very much. I'm in it now.
I get it. That's totally fair.
Well, damn. I mean, you also had
Killing of a Sacred Deer
Right.
on the list, and that's a film that I know 2 other people on this podcast have also seen.
Hell yeah.
Word up.
And honestly, I was kind of at odds, like, if I should include that and Mother on the list, because I kind of got the same reaction from both those films. In a lot of ways, they're very similar. They're very uncomfortable films to watch and experience, and you just kind of, like, walk out of the theater just feeling shitty. But again, that's kind of, like, how I enjoy films and, like, constructed this list. I didn't base it off, like, what I thought was technically the best film that I thought was released. It was which films, like, gave me, like, the biggest emotional reaction and ones that actually, like, I thought about after coming out of the theater. And that's another movie I just keep finding myself coming back to and, like, I guess overanalyzing and just, you know, almost to an extent want to, like, go back and just wish I could go back to, like, the first time watching it and having the experience of just, like, the immense, like, dread and tension and awkwardness that Killing of a Sacred Deer is just steeped in from beginning to end.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a summary, I mean, like, Killing of a Sacred Deer, it's made by the guy who made The Lobster.
Tight movie.
And I enjoyed this one more than The Lobster.
I completely agree with that.
Even though I did not see The Lobster, I liked this one more easily.
But
Why are you like this? I mean, the basic story without getting it's actually kind of hard to not get into too many spoilers. But
Yeah,
you know,
well,
we'll get like halfway. Let's say we'll get halfway.
It is a shame. This is the only one that I feel bad that we can't spoil because I want to talk about so many, like, spoilery.
But
Essentially-
again, it's a film. The less you know, I feel going into it. I think to an extent, the more like you want to be surprised. By
Okay, well,
Right.
I mean,
So I guess all we'll say is that Colin Farrell, he plays a doctor, and he's got a wife and children. And
Who's this wife?
Nicole Kidman. I don't know why he only named the man.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Sexist.
Pig.
all right, well,
She's an equally accomplished thespian. And anyway, go
Okay.
on.
Sorry, Nicole Kidman.
Thank you. We like Nicole Kidman. I couldn't even say her name this time.
All right, well, Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman are like a married couple, and they have these 2 kids. And then Colin Farrell, he's been hanging out with this kid, not in a weird way, but
acting as a
in a weird way
he's
too.
acting as a father figure, and it doesn't establish why he's sort of taking this other kid under his wing
Yeah,
and trying to, like, help him out or be nice to him.
and like everyone in this movie talks and acts. It's like imagine like how people talk weird in a Wes Anderson movie.
Yes.
But imagine if instead of that being funny, it was just like everyone's haunted.
Yeah.
Like everyone's really creepy and
They're very blunt and formal in the way they talked, and almost to an extent, like, robotic in like their line delivery.
It's incredibly bizarre.
If you've seen The Lobster, it's the same acting performance as that. And personally, like, The Lobster didn't work for me on a couple levels, but I feel like that whole style of direction works so incredibly better in this kind of film that's meant to, like, you know, build up suspense and dread and those aspects.
right.
yeah.
So I guess all I'll say to stay out of spoiler territory is that Colin Farrell is sort of like mentoring or like taking this kid under his wing. We don't know why, but it starts to really mess with Colin Farrell's family life. Let's say that.
Like,
and things just get more and more uncomfortable and dreadful and shocking and upsetting as the movie goes on.
but also pretty funny.
It's one of those. It's
I
a
mean,
very divisive movie in that regard because, like, when I saw it in theaters, there were people that were, like, laughing out loud at moments, and then, like, if you turn to, like, the people, like, next to them or, like, in another row, you can just see them, like, wanting to crawl out of their skin because, like, what they're seeing is just so, like, dark and bleak. It's probably, like, one of the blackest comedies I've ever seen.
It's so dark that you can't help but, well, I can't help but find it funny. See, it's weird. Like, I saw the trailer for the movie, and I thought it was one of the best trailers I'd seen.
I feel
all
like
year.
it's an honest trailer for what you're gonna get going into the film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not the Honest Trailers channel on the YouTube.
On the YouTubes.
And then, like, you saw it, and I asked, what did you think? And you were like, well, if it depends on if you accept, like, what it is. If you don't accept, like, the premise, I can't imagine you would enjoy it. So I took that as, oh, so it sucks. And then I heard what the premise of the movie was, because I had no idea. But then I actually heard what, like, it wasn't spoiled for me, but I heard vaguely what was going to start happening. So I immediately watched it.
And it's interesting too because I mean, without going into the details of it, I guess you would say the antagonist of the film tells Colin Farrell's character exactly what is going to happen and what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And that is the entire second half of the movie is seeing that play out. And I mean, you think about that in a lot of contexts, like, oh, that just sounds boring, or why would I care if I know what's going to happen? But it's just like, it's going deeper and deeper down into the rabbit hole of just how dark and horrific a situation can become.
Also, it has, like, some of the best cinematography that I've seen in a long fucking time. Like,
It's an absolutely gorgeous film. It's very Kubrickian.
Yes, exactly.
Its shot composition,
Yeah, the shot composition and, like, the score, and, like, when the score interjects into moments was, like, very much like whenever you watch The Shining, and it uses, like, music as a weapon to, like, just get you amped up for something.
Oh.
It's very, very well done.
Yeah.
An incredibly well made movie.
And I would say, just adding on the fact that you sort of know halfway through what, like, well, here's what's gonna happen. It's like, it's such a horrific situation that you can't help but watch, because like, and I think the movie, something we pointed out earlier is that, like, it's funny, but it shouldn't be. I think it's like kind of a good litmus test for, like, maybe like who you are and how you think, because I mean, the stuff in there is so dark it shouldn't be funny, but the way it's presented.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say that there's like a humorous tinge to it, but it's because some of the situations are just, they seem ridiculous.
See, this is why I almost wish we could spoil it, so I could defend what I thought was funny and why.
They'll see it and they'll know, but it's like the darkest comedy. I
wouldn't even call it a comedy.
It's either the most unnerving.
I mean, the comedy in it is the
comedy.
darkest kind of comedy. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to feel awkward and uncomfortable and just kind of bad about life, go see it because it's fantastic.
Yeah, because like I've been watching a lot of movies like in my like room and stuff at my apartment, like on my laptop for this, and then just at boredom. And Killing of a Sacred Deer was the first one in a long time where like I didn't do anything else. Like I didn't get on the Facebook or anything while I just watched the movie because I was like, I am like way in. I want to see what happens.
I'm surprised this wasn't on your list of movies then.
But
he had to talk about Vince Vaughn.
I had to talk about Vinny V.
And honestly, like my list, I didn't even think about coming back into it until like a short while ago because I was just like, I started thinking more about it, and then like I just realized how, I don't want to say much I enjoyed the film just because that sounds sadistic, I guess, to an extent, but just how much I appreciated the film and like what it was able to accomplish and do, and the experience I had watching it.
And admittedly, it's a hard movie to recommend because it's pretty weird.
No, fuck it, watch it, feel horrible. Moving on.
Oh god.
All right, Kemp. Don't let us.
Don't let you down, but
Don't let us
like,
top 5.
The Mummy, Valerian,
Shut up,
Storm. Man, I can't talk enough.
What about Bright?
Storm.
Is that number one?
Bright? Of course,
Dude, Bright.
Of course, that's number one.
It's way up there.
But seriously,
Bright is tight. Bright is tight.
The joke is we don't respect Michael Kemp or his
It's
ideas.
fine.
And if you listen to this,
Or his
you probably don't either.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Just kidding, Kemp. What's your real top 5?
So Baby Driver, as I said earlier, is number 1. 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri is number 2. Last Jedi.
Speak up.
No. Last Jedi is number 3. Spider-Man, and then Logan. So a lot of movies we've talked about before.
Spider-Man, that came out in 2002.
Oh my god, what? You don't go for the low-hanging jokes, you fucking idiot.
But yeah, I mean, obviously I really like superhero movies, so there's a lot to kind of enjoy this year and be disappointed by as well, but...
Yeah, the more we're talking about this, there are so many movies that like I wish I would have reevaluated my list. Like Wind River was really good. Did you see The Blackcoat's Daughter?
I want to. I haven't had a chance to see it though. Now
I heard that looked really good.
Yeah. We should maybe talk about that sometime. Anyway,
but yeah. So as Dan said, a lot of the movies that I picked were ones that like I ended up leaving the theater and just being just really excited about and thinking about.
You had to find your
after.
socks because they got knocked off of you.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, because there were definitely movies I might have enjoyed initially more, but then I kind of forgot about these. All these movies are ones that like I was just like really excited about. Well, after I saw them, Baby Driver being the one that really blew me away.
I'm just glad Bright isn't on your list.
Good lord.
We were so close.
Yeah. I mean, it might be in the top 10.
But in all fairness, like, you put 3 Billboards on your list,
Yeah.
and that's something I can really respect.
Yeah. That I respect.
That movie, okay, so I had not too much interest in seeing it other than I love Sam Rockwell. So I was like, I gotta see,
Is 3 Billboards an action movie at all? No.
I wouldn't
What?
call it.
So it's
If
the only
you
one.
say it's an action movie, you're going to disappoint so many people.
I guess what I'm saying is that the only non-action movie?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'd say so.
See, I think Kemp is your action guy. I don't. You always say that I only like action movies.
No, I know Kemp's.
You like
I like-
westerns.
I like
You're the western.
Ken-
I'm
Kemp's
a
the
Western guy.
Kemp's the action adventure guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm just
like,
action.
I like action adventure. You
So
want
yeah,
someone to get murdered. Kind
Yeah.
of.
I interrupted. You were talking about 3 Billboards.
But like Sam Rockwell, I really like, so that piqued my interest. And then Kyle had already seen it and gave a glowing recommendation. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And I laughed so hard at these people's terrible situations. Like,
It was great.
it
I
was
scooted
great.
away from him in the theater. I was like, this shit ain't
I
funny.
love the theater, and I thanked Kyle because I was like,
Yeah, he did.
This was great.
It was beautiful.
Thank you for bringing me to this. 'Cause it was a really enjoyable movie for how terrible the subject matter is.
Yeah. It
But
was,
yeah.
It was a good time.
And I know it's on a lot of other people's lists.
Yeah.
Or at least two.
It's both Yezin and I's number 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, 3 Billboards is easily my number 1 spot. It doesn't. I don't really have to.
There's no competition.
For me, I didn't have to even think about it very much. But with 3 Billboards, I know that like I'm a fan of Martin McDonagh's previous 2 movies. I'm a fan of 7 Psychopaths. I mean, it was honestly one of my very favorite movies. And then In Bruges is also really good.
And yeah, those are both really.
3 Billboards is just exactly the movie that we needed this year, and for me, it's the best movie of 2017. Because
We actually go more in depth in the about this movie in a podcast that we recorded a few
After
weeks
seeing
ago.
it, yeah.
that's true.
So
So we
we
could
will-
actually just post that one up since we did skip a week, and I'm sure that 2 people out there were really sad. Didn't know what happened to us. We are all still alive,
Yeah.
and we can get you that special treat.
Yeah. So I will be brief about 3 Billboards, but
yeah.
all I'll say is that it's a movie that deals really well with like sort of the line between vengeance and justice, and sort of the role of anger in justice, but also it's really like, and Kyle, you said this pretty well, is that it's really cynical about institutions, but also really optimistic about people and people's potential to kind of reform and their potential to, I guess, do good when they aren't bogged down by certain institutions.
So it's like a really good Batman movie.
Yeah.
Kind of,
kinda,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's really
In a way.
That might be why I like it so much.
in a way, Francis McDormand is playing Batman,
Batman, yeah.
and also Sam Rockwell is playing Batman.
Okay.
Maybe or Robin. I don't know.
See, now I wish I could do spoilers. I could have made a joke, but he gets it.
I get it.
I get
All
it.
right.
I know what you're. I know
Watch
where
the
you're
movie.
going.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get the joke.
Actually, not to put you on the spot, but
What's up?
if we do post that episode, Daniel, you were absent. For it. Is
No,
there
I was
anything
not
you'd
part
like
of
to
that.
say?
Everyone on this podcast really enjoys this movie, except for me. Everything that they're saying about the film, the themes, how well done it was, I think it is a very well done movie. But this also isn't a spoiler special. But my issues with the film have to deal with the ending of it. It was one of those, like, it got to the point where I just realized the main thing it was about isn't what I thought it was. And I mean, granted, that's my personal expectations I placed on the movie. But I just left the theater after watching it. Just like, I got what it was trying to say. I got what it was trying to do. Fantastic character performances. But I just didn't care.
All right.
enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, it didn't give me what I wanted out of that story and setup. And I mean, again, that's my own personal thing I brought to the table. But they all really enjoy it. I haven't thought about the movie once after seeing it.
I think about it every night. You can take that any way you want.
Okay.
That's weird.
I know, I'm kidding.
That was weird.
Not all my
Anyway,
jokes are good.
it starts off being a really dark subject matter. It's a really hopeful movie, but it's also really like it's really powerful. It's critical of the police. It's critical of revenge. It's such a good movie. And Martin McDonagh is a master of Chekhov's gun. Everything it plants in the movie comes up later and is really useful. I can't say enough good things about this movie. And to me, even though we're going to post maybe a separate podcast about it, I can't stop talking about it without saying, go watch this movie.
Yes.
Sure. Do it.
Definitely.
Watch it.
All
See
the
it.
performances
Or
are so
don't.
good.
I mean,
Or
definitely
don't.
choice.
Definitely do. Do watch.
But maybe don't.
Do watch.
Because like it's already winning awards. It's gonna win more awards.
I'm glad that it
Yeah.
is also like.
And a lot of those awards are meaningless, but this time you want to know what the because like don't be the guy thinking I don't know why this movie's winning awards. I haven't seen it. Be like no,
Yeah, don't be that chump.
If you've seen it,
Everyone
it's-
hates that guy at the party, right?
Oh my god.
Sorry,
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, if that's all,
Yeah,
we're doing
you know,
with
when
that
you're
movie.
out at the bar watching the Academy Awards.
Camp, you got anything to say about
Any of that?
Spider-Man or
Spider-Man, I've said previously, I'm not a big fan, like I'm a big comic book person, but Spider-Man is really not one of my go-to superheroes. But that movie, like I was smiling, I was on the edge of my seat. It really, really just beat all of my expectations of it, and
Right.
I was really happy with it. Logan was a movie that I didn't know it was going to make the list, but then when we rewatched it before we talked about superheroes 2 weeks ago, I realized how good it was again.
Yeah, it's
Because it
very
was so
good.
early
Yeah,
in
it's
the year
good.
the first time we
I mean,
saw it,
it's-
so I kind of forgot about it, and then I was like, no, like this movie is amazing. So
I'll be honest, I actually haven't watched it in a while, but I've seen it several times. It has a lot of rewatchability for me.
Yeah.
It's definitely a fuck ton better than Spider-Man.
see, but I like happy coming of age stories, and that's why Spider-Man beats
Sure.
Logan on my list.
Logan's a never mind.
It's super happy.
All right,
Speaking of Logan.
Go on.
Fuck Logan. Fuck
What's
Logan.
your-
I'm
what's
just
your top
kidding.
five,
It's,
Dane?
it's good. Let's see. So top five, I mean, no particular order. Baby Driver was really good. Really liked that movie. It was fun. It was a fun watch.
shut up on you.
Spider-Man Homecoming was tight. It was the first Spider-Man movie I've liked in a very long time, and Spider-Man is like my favorite superhero. Let's see. I saw a movie called A Ghost Story. Had Rooney Mara and oh god, what's
Casey
Casey
Affleck.
Affleck? That's his name. And
Casey.
it was really good. I was
Casey Kelso.
I went on a date with this girl, and I showed up a little inebriated.
Yeah.
Let's say that. You
Why
know,
wouldn't
had
you?
to like grease up. No, I'm just kidding.
And
Wait, were you
Yes,
going on a
yes.
date?
When I was wrestling the
Oh, you
rock.
wrestling the rock.
I was wrestling the
yeah,
rock.
okay.
So anyway,
Inside joke. He
yeah.
wants to wrestle the rock, but he wants to be greased up. Anyway, go on.
yeah, there's a whole logic behind
There's
it.
a
but
lore. There's a lore to
Let's not
this.
get
We
into
don't
it.
have enough time. Maybe next
Exactly.
episode.
Maybe next time.
If we review something with The Rock.
Yes, our 3-part
You
review.
Jumanji.
I thought it was going to be
Yes.
5 parts.
I thought it was
Shut
we
up.
pared it back down to 3.
Oh,
yeah, it's
my
cool.
bad.
Anyway,
So your ghost story is
So
good.
Ghost Story was really good. It was super morbid, but it was also like kind of uplifting. I'm not going to spoil anything. I feel like talking a lot about it though is going to spoil some things. All you really need to know
Casey
is
Affleck's
that
a fucking ghost.
yeah, he's a ghost in a sheet with a couple eyes cut out, which is pretty cool.
So he's going method acting. He's like,
yes, yes, he real hardcore.
Does he ever go, ooh?
Yeah.
He does
Only
really
when he
play
says something
though,
interesting.
angrily.
Yes. Let's see.
Did you see?
I saw Ghost Story. I don't know if anyone else did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no.
But I enjoyed the film. I didn't enjoy it as much as Zane did, but it's a very, I don't want to say like, it is a meditative and slow moving film, and it can, I feel like it would turn off a lot of people because they might just be kind of bored, because at the end of the day, it's about like loss and moving on, and like, I don't want to say heavy handed themes, but things like that. And it's more just like a movie you appreciate. And it's not like spoon feeding you the information.
Yeah, no.
There's hardly any dialogue in the film itself.
Oh yeah, that's the cooler part.
There's like a 5-minute scene where Rooney Mara is just eating pie, like there's no fucking tomorrow.
I mean, spoilers, dude. No, I'm
No,
it was just like I didn't expect anything from the movie. So going into it, I had no expectations at all, and it kind of like surprised me with how like interesting it was. It's not a movie that I would ever seek out for myself. So it was pretty cool.
So you would recommend this to like Paranormal Activity fans?
I would recommend it to not people named Kyle.
Oh, but if you really liked The Conjuring, you should see A Ghost Story.
No,
I feel like you're being misleading, and people might not.
Yeah, you're definitely being misleading.
This movie, I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard, it's not anything like those movies.
It's not a horror movie.
No,
it's a drama. So, let's see. The next movie, Logan Lucky, I feel like flew under a lot 'of people's radar this past year.
It's good.
And
I
thought it was
when you were seeing that one actually.
Redneck Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
it was
it
pretty
was so
sweet.
fun.
I really liked it. I thought that Daniel Craig was really funny in it. So was Adam Driver.
Oh yeah, that was
Here's
hilarious.
the best part. He was so good. He was like so deadpan with all of his deliveries, but it was like
him not having his arm, like that was hilarious. Like that was, oh man, he was so good in it.
Oh yeah.
Channing Tatum is the main character.
When Channing Tatum throws his fucking hard hat, I'm not even making a joke. That's a great shot.
Yeah,
it's
where he throws a hard hat and like
it
he
bounces
sinks
off
it into
one
the
and
thing.
lands
Oh, dude,
the lid closes.
so tight.
And I'm like, was
really
that
good.
like a happy mistake, or did he have to do that 11 times?
I feel like it was probably a happy mistake, and they kept it in.
Not to get into spoiler territory, but because she doesn't show up until later, but Hilary Swank is in this movie.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot
And
about
she
that.
gives like the weirdest performance.
oh yeah,
And
her career.
Her partner in the movie is the writer-director of I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
really?
It all comes full circle.
Yeah, let's talk about the next Karate Kid, though. She is in this movie, and she's like really weird. Like it doesn't bother. It doesn't detract from the movie really. It just like because it's so weird.
Yeah,
that it must have been intentional.
Yeah,
because she's playing like
really
she's playing a let's just say a federal agent.
Sure, yeah,
and she is just really just straight, like really heavy-handed in terms of trying to play like a badass, no nonsense. FBI agent. And it's so
it's Bill Swank, if you're listening to this episode, could you call us back and let us know what you were thinking with that performance? Not that it was wrong per se.
Did someone tell you?
Hill Swank. I like that.
Keep it fresh. You know?
Yeah. Did someone tell you to do that? Was that you? Was that like all what you want? I don't know. It's strange.
I am curious though. The one thing that did take me a little bit out of the movie was Seth MacFarlane's performance.
He was the one person that like
that was quite odd. Yeah,
I also feel like his storyline
gonna sound dumb.
Cut out.
Seth MacFarlane was in that.
Yeah, I watched this when you watched it. You should watch it more.
I definitely was a little distracted for the first.
Seth MacFarlane is the guy who's endorsing the energy drink and making the Winter Soldier drink it before driving his race car.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I feel like their whole plot could have been
the only guy with a funny British accent in the movie.
Yeah. I don't know why that was like a choice.
Is Seth MacFarlane impossible to like?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not. If you can't like.
And I wonder if maybe he knows that, so now he's just like, give me a wig and a mustache, and I'll do a voice. I'll do a funny voice.
I'll be Stewie.
And then everyone else was like, okay, I guess that's acting. Like,
I don't know.
But
real
other than
weird.
that, movie
Seth MacFarlane, if you're listening, we don't really like you.
maybe if we hung out with you, I guess I could talk Star Trek with you, but.
Or like, and you
or Family Guy, right?
You love Family Guy, right?
Yeah, it's all I watch.
I know. Yeah, I
that's
figured.
bad.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Let's see. So then the last one on my list was The Big Sick, which I like. Yezin talked about it a lot, and I was kind of interested in it because I like. I'm gonna butcher his name.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yes, I like him a lot in. Oh God, what's that show?
Silicon Valley.
Yes, I can't think of anything tonight.
Call it all your
But
lifelines.
he's really good in that. He's also really good on Portlandia.
Yeah, I
so
like
I
him on
figured, I would get around to seeing it. But then I think we were planning on maybe doing a podcast of this or of that movie or something. I don't know. But I ended up watching it and I really liked it. It was a really good romantic comedy that kind of reminded me of When Harry Met Sally. I liked that movie a lot too, but this one, I mean, obviously a lot more modern, and it was just a really cool movie. Ray Romano was in it,
Love Ray
and
Romano.
he was great in it. He had one of the best lines in the movie, so that made me
Just
like
one of
legitimately-
Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
I love that
legitimately made me laugh
Same.
so hard.
Same.
Like it was just really
I also
fucking good.
love
For the
Holly
record,
Yeah, she
spoiler.
was really good
It's
at
not. It's not much of a spoiler, but the line is, "I hate that internet." You get on it and they say Forrest Gump's not a good movie. Forrest Gump's the best movie they've ever made.
Yeah, pretty sure he drops the F bomb.
Yeah,
Best fucking
yeah.
movie we've ever made.
Yeah.
I don't think Forrest Gump's a very.
I don't even like the movie very much.
Well, no, but
It's
the
a-
line is
it's a good
hilarious.
line,
Coming
yeah.
from that character in that moment where, like, that's the last thing they should be talking
Yeah,
about.
I
Like,
actually really like Ray
hilarious.
Romano, and I think he's very good at comedic timing. And
oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, he was a comedian.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
aware of his career.
Oh, okay. Because it sounded like you weren't.
Full ass, I'm just saying there's a lot of people that don't like Everybody Loves Raymond, and I'm not one of those people. because
Full
I-
ass?
I don't know.
It sounds like you said
confused.
full ass, but
Yeah,
I'm
your
very-
ass is full.
anyway, no, I agree. The Big Sick, I've seen it. Kyle, I'm sure I
I
think
saw
you've
it.
seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Me either.
I think The Big Sick is phenomenal. It's kind of weirdly they've all been coming out like kind of in a similar time. It's kind of covering similar territory to like Hassan Minaj's Stand Up or like Master of None, but it's like sort of taking the idea of like sort of like immigrant romance. I know it sounds kind of weird, but like kind of it takes the experience of like Muslim youth and first generation, how they're less tied to like the kind of the old ways that their parents brought with them, and they're trying to assimilate, but they're also attached to kind of a different culture, and they're kind of trying to balance those two cultures. So the general story of The Big Sick is the main character played by Kumail Nanjiani. He is a kind of a. It's based on his true experience meeting his real life wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure. No, they're married.
Yeah, they're
And
Did
he.
you watch the end credits?
idiot.
Unsubscribe.
Anyway, so he's like a starting. He's like a up and coming like stand up comedian. He meets this girl.
Well, don't give them the whole plot. I mean,
Two
two people meet and they.
This is just the general
Sure.
plot. And he meets this girl, and then they start dating. Except the girl is white, and that's like kind of a big deal with his family, who are trying to introduce it. This is all trailer stuff. Are trying to introduce him to like a Pakistani Muslim girl. And for me personally,
You didn't even get to the biggest part of the story. She gets like insanely sick.
Hey,
well,
is that a spoiler?
No, it's called The Big Sick.
It's the, it's
the name of the
I thought it was
goddamn
the
movie.
Big Hero 6.
I thought it was the prequel to Sinister Six.
Oh my god, that was just the dumbest thing you could have said.
all right. Pack it up. We're done.
I hate you so goddamn much.
You hate me, you laugh.
Oh, I know, but I
Shit.
laughed at how fucking retarded that was. I dropped a hard R right
All right, so getting back to the Big Hero 6. She does get sick. That's in the trailer. It's not spoiler stuff. I was
Sure,
worried it was.
yeah.
Yeah, and then that sort of causes their relationship to unravel, and like certain like kind of issues that they both had. Although she's really sick at this point, like kind of certain issues that he had sort of come to light, and he has to deal with them when he meets her parents. played by Ray Romano and
Holly Hunter.
Who are both phenomenal.
And it's incredible.
We say a lot about Ray Romano because he's a really well-known actor. I think he hits it out of the park in this movie. But Holly Hunter also,
she's really good.
She's very good in this movie. And it just, for me personally, as a Muslim Arab American, like I also kind of dealt with some of these kind of issues or some of these kind of like family sees things one way and I kind of see them another way, and so you kind of have to bridge that gap. But even for normal white people like Zane,
normal
white people like Zane and Kyle, it's a really enjoyable movie. And even for immigrants who aren't necessarily Muslim, I've talked to a lot of them. They had like a lot of similar experiences, and it's really good. Everyone just plays it really well, and it's a good movie. It's a hard recommend it.
Yeah,
if you have Amazon
for
Prime,
sure,
it's on there now. That's how I watched it. So
yeah,
you don't even have to leave your home. Check it out.
Yeah. So Yezin, I think you're last here with your favorite movies.
All right. Excuse me. My top 5 movies are going to be 1, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. 2, I'm going to say The Big Sick, although really the order kind of shifts around.
I was going to say, is this in order of movies?
Kind of, but like I kind of shift around. Definitely 3 Billboards is cemented at number 1.
Sure.
Then I'm going to say Baby Driver, which we've talked about. We've talked about all 3 of these. Then Get Out, which is, I don't really know if anyone listening to this could possibly not know Get Out.
I still haven't seen
it. I finally saw it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just need not to know about it because it's so well known. Oh, I'm damn! I saw it before everyone else.
Well, just really briefly an aside, like I did a press screening for it, and it felt like the studio really didn't know what they had on its hands because they booked like a small theater that sat like maybe like 80 people, and then like there was just like a massive groundswell. Like we had to turn away over like 150 people that showed up to try to get into it.
Wow.
So and like right from the get go, it's like this is gonna be big.
Yeah, I mean you get that sense. It comes out like February.
Yeah.
It's coming out with like the movies that like
traditionally suck.
Movies traditionally suck, and then it's like one of the big movies of the year. And honestly, if it doesn't win more awards, I think it'll actually be because it didn't come out later in the year. Like, I think one reason why a lot of movies have, like, a chance at, like, sort of unseating Get Out in terms of, which awards don't necessarily matter, but one reason they do is because Get Out came out so long ago, and so the hype has died down. But, it's by Jordan Peele. And he basically stages it like a kind of a horror.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Twilight Zone type thing. Like it. There's been like a lot of dispute on its genre. Like it's being judged as a horror or as a comedy, but he doesn't really see it as a comedy. He's described it as a documentary, but I think that's more. I don't think he literally means it that way. He said social thriller, which I think is
social thriller. I think is a good
super accurate.
Yeah. Social thriller is the best label for that because like I know a lot of people. I'm sorry. Do you want to? No. Okay. Like I know like a lot of people when that first came out and they watched it. Like a lot of horror friends that I have like who are really into horror movies were really disappointed because they expected it to be like a scary horror movie. And it's like there are definitely like horror and thriller elements of it, but the movie's also really, really funny at some parts, and I think that like they didn't expect that. Which I mean, it didn't bother me at all. I thought Get Out was a really good movie, which I don't know how much you're gonna like this comparison, but I think it's kind of aside from like the social element as far as like pacing and tone goes, it's really comparable to Shaun of the Dead. Even in the way that like Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg write their screenplays, where there's like a lot of little jokes that are a setup and they pay off later in the script. And like Get Out has like a horror genre cred of it has all of these like little references, and then there are so many elements in this like movie that start here and then they pay off by like the second and third act. So it's like I was really shocked to hear at first people not liking the movie because I was like, no, it's objectively really well made. It's a good movie. But then I started thinking, like, I totally agree with you, where it's like I don't think that they knew how to market that when it came out, because all of the trailers made it look like it was the same flavor of like modern horror movies now, where I think people expected something really like dour and like dark and frightening. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have those elements. I just think,
I agree with that. I think that Get Out is like a Key and Peele sketch played straight.
Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it.
And just to like elaborate on that, if you've seen Key and Peele, it's like they sort of have these like sketches that are all social commentary and very often race related social commentary, but they kind of feel goofy. Like they make it goofy. They kind of acknowledge the comedy. I mean, they're both comedians who are doing it, but with Get Out, it doesn't ever, have people acknowledging the goofiness, except for the one character who, again, we won't get into spoilers, but there's the main character's friend who's like a TSA agent. He's investigating. And the story, for anyone who has been under a rock and doesn't know, or has been in Iraq and doesn't know, is that was really dumb. Yeah.
Everyone gets one.
Spider-Man joke.
The main character...
Family Guy joke.
He is.
It's full circle.
Anyway, he's a black man and he's dating a white woman, and he's going to meet her parents at their like house out, kind of not in the middle of nowhere, but kind of out in the I don't know what you would describe that area. Anyway, so and then shit gets weird because there's like little racism that turns into horror racism. But yeah, I would agree with what you're saying. Is that like, going in, you think, oh, is it going to be just like a horror movie? And then you think, oh, no, but the premise, of course, it has to be like a Key and Peele sketch. It has to be like just goofy. But it's actually neither of those. It's like a Key and Peele sketch, but played straight. Anyway, it's a really unique movie.
Yeah, like I understand when people call it a comedy. I just think to do that undercuts a lot of what that movie was doing.
Right. And... just the last on my top 5 is Lady Bird. Which
It's about Hank Hill's dog. Just a day.
Good God.
A day in her life.
That would be a good movie too. I do love King of the Hill. But just really briefly get into Lady Bird is just it's just a great coming of age story that focuses on a mother-daughter relationship. Great performance by Saoirse Ronan. I don't know what the mother's...
Laurie Metcalf.
That's
it. Cool.
And it is...
Roseanne.
No, you know what? Like, she was the one that impressed me the most in this movie because every other thing that I've seen her in, I'm like, yeah, that's the lady from Roseanne. That's the lady from Scream 2. She's a crazy neighbor in Uncle Buck. Like, she's always so, like, hammy and cheesy and, like... her like guest stint on Third Rock from the Sun, where she's the most annoying person in the world. She was like really, really good in this movie. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, Lady Bird. Don't have to endorse it too much. It's been getting really
overhyped reviews.
Probably. I don't know. Like it's one of the highest, best.
It has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So does Paddington Bear, guys. 2. Paddington Bear 2.
So I guess it's Rotten Tomatoes kind of throws around, but the thing is, it's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. There's no,
because I kept hearing all the hype and being like, oh, it's probably not going to be that good, and I was very surprised. Like I said I like coming of age stories, but I mean there's ones I don't like, and I walked away from this being like blown away. It kind of
it's an incredibly heartfelt and honest film that has probably some of like the best performances I've seen of the year. Really good.
Yeah. I mean, it is a very good movie, and I did like it. I didn't absolutely love it. I think that the movie was just a little too overhyped for me, and I think that, like, the main focus of the movie is the mother-daughter relationship, and I think that is really well written, really well performed, and I think that there are other elements of the movie that don't live up to that. some of it that was just not as well written or carried through. Not enough to like ruin the movie. Not that they're even like necessarily bad. It's just I didn't hold it on the same level as the rest of the movie. So
I didn't even see it.
you didn't
so,
even watch it.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it.
So you're on my side.
Yeah, there we go.
Well,
sure.
Zane, I would recommend it to you and other people who haven't seen it because it like Dan said, it's super heartfelt and it's also structured really well. Like it doesn't like it picks like a really good endpoint.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like there's without getting into spoilers. There's a part there towards the end where it's like any other movie like this might end a certain way. I'll just say with a certain parting of ways. That's all I'll say. But it doesn't quite end there. It goes a little bit further and gets this really like perfect spot where it doesn't give you like a just totally, I'm gonna avoid spoilers and I'm just gonna say it ends really well.
It's a movie that feels like it should be very cliche, yet I didn't really like watching it. Like there was no scenes. I was just kind of like rolling my eyes and saying, "Oh, I've seen that 100 times before."
Yeah.
And, it's just like, yeesh.
I agree. Yeah, there's nothing that to me nothing really felt that with that kind of
very
overbearing.
real.
Yeah,
Like it was like I'd probably have known these people in high school or something.
There's nothing I can really say about this without going into like spoiler territory or anything. Really, I mean, not super spoilerly. I don't totally agree with that.
No.
I think that's part of what I mean in saying like I felt that way about the two main characters of the movie, not necessarily every other element.
Okay.
Anyway, I guess I'll just say with Lady Bird, it's my number 5. I do recommend it.
But Logan is better.
But I actually bumped down Logan to put this on because I do want. Well, other people had Logan on their list, and I thought Lady Bird really deserved a mention.
Did you have anyone else's top 5, or is it just yours and mine, Yosin?
I think that's it.
Didn't make mine.
But
I didn't even see it.
So Logan got 2. Lady Bird got 2. That's
Baby Driver got what, 4?
Baby Driver got 4.
Yeah.
3 Billboards got 3, but it was like really close to
Weird.
One for each billboard.
yeah, 1 for each billboard.
Alrighty, well.
So, do you guys want to do like a quick fire recommendation for other movies that did make our top list that people might be interested in?
Lego Batman. Zane's real excited about that one.
Yes! Waiting the whole time.
You said rapid fire. Here we go.
You're a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
I like this.
The 6-year-old of the group. We didn't really talk a whole lot about I Don't Feel at Home in This World anymore.
That's right, yeah.
But that is on my top 5. It was a movie that a friend of mine recommended me. It's like straight to Netflix, where he was like, I was watching this and I just thought this is a Kyle movie and you would really like it, and I watched it and I did.
If you've seen Blue Ruin or Green Room, it's sort of the same tone.
Yeah, it's funnier than those. Movies, but
I don't want to say more lighthearted because it's not a complete.
Yeah.
I mean, there are elements of that in there.
it's very much a dark comedy, but it's very funny and enjoyable.
I second that. I enjoyed that film a whole bunch. Quickfire, another movie I really enjoyed this year that came out on Netflix. It's a French horror film called Raw. It's a coming-of-age story about a girl that's going to veterinarian school, and she's a vegetarian. And one of the hazing rituals is that they have to eat raw meat. And once she does, she develops a craving for raw meat, like human flesh and whatnot. So, like, the premise itself sounds pretty fucking stupid, but it's surprisingly honest and heartfelt and also just gritty and unnerving.
Yeah.
But the characters are very well rounded and incredibly likable.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, I was very surprised. It was one of those I kind of put on a whim, and I was not disappointed at all.
Split. That's another one. Pretty tight. Pretty good movie.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
I'd also like to give shout outs to Wind River and Blade Runner 2049, but I'd like to do an episode on that soon, so I didn't really talk about it today.
I was gonna say, there's a lot to say about Blade
A
Runner.
lot to say about both Blade Runners.
I'd like to say shout out to Boss Baby and Power Rangers. No, I'm just kidding.
Leave.
Neither one of those.
Unpopular opinion, I'm going to shout out King Arthur.
Shut up! Shut up!
I will actually go with Kemp in that I thought it was a dumb, enjoyable action
Ooh.
movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Burn the Witches.
Free Fire. Free Fire was
Free Fire!
sick.
Ah!
Fuck, that movie's
shit.
good.
Yeah, no, that's a good movie.
Free Fire really is a barrel of fun.
God, that movie
Not to get
fucking
into spoilers,
rocks.
but it's a bottle episode in movie form. Very good.
It's fucking tight.
My two shout outs. Brigsby Bear.
That was good.
Starring Kyle Mooney. It's also got Mark Hamill. Super good. It's just like kind of a weird story of like a kid who's been isolated his whole life, and everything in his life is just, he's obsessed with this show. He thinks it's the only show that exists, and then it comes out into the real world, and it's about him kind of keeping the magic of that show alive now that he's out in the world. It's like kind of like the story of the isolated person that goes out into real life, but like with a really...
It's like what would happen after the Truman Show.
Yeah, but it's like, exactly, but with like a twist. And then Ingrid Goes West is my other one. I'm a huge fan of Aubrey Plaza, and I think Ingrid Goes West is exactly the type of like role I like to see her in. It's like, it's not like, I was worried that it would have sort of like a Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates sort of vibe, or like a what is it? Bad Grandpa or Dirty Grandpa?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like I feel like those types of movies like are sort of, she's wasted on that. But Ingrid Goes West is like a super good. It's about like kind of social media obsession and loneliness and anxiety, and like she just plays a really interesting character, and it's actually like way fun.
I definitely want to check that out. That and Colossal are on my list of films.
Oh, Colossal looks tight.
I started to watch that, and then I fucked off and did something else. But, it wasn't bad, and I would like to see Ingrid Goes West. And if we ever do like a horror episode, I would like to talk about the Black Coat's daughter, because I do
want to see that. Yeah, that would be on the list to watch as well.
Eventually, I'm gonna it's gonna come up, but I just want to say that Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets is the worst movie of 2017.
Couldn't even finish it today. Tried to watch it.
And if Michael Kemp can't finish it,
Yeah, that's a bad.
Then what hope do any of you or us have?
Another one to recommend, Disaster Artist. I would recommend that.
It's fine.
It was
Watch
fun.
The Room.
Yeah, it was fun.
Or watch The Room, whatever, yeah. Fuck it.
There's another straight to Netflix movie that surprisingly I enjoyed. It's kind of my fuck you, it's good movie of the year, is Death Note. The fans of the source material hate it. For what it's trying to do, I think it is just dumb, schlocky fun. It's just like
enjoyable.
Final Destination style horror mixed with like dumb fuck you teenage I'm awesome and edgy attitude. It is a guilty pleasure, and I think it gets a bad rap.
Now, I haven't seen it, but Michael Kemp agrees with you. And again,
See, but I've also never seen the original anime or read.
I've read the manga, I've seen the anime, I've seen the incredibly shitty Japanese live action movies, and I think this is a good, different take on the material, and I think people were upset that it was a different take.
See, that's one thing I do want to say is like different takes don't always mean bad.
Yeah, they
I
do.
feel like people.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. That's all we're trying to say.
That's an absolute.
I don't
Yeah.
care. Bitch! Valerian's a bad movie.
Yeah, Valerian's awful.
Kyle jumped up trying to assault me. You all heard it.
Yeah, you gotta salt the snail.
Woof.
It's a Sunny reference.
Yes, I get it.
Anyway, I think that about does it.
Yeah, I think
Alright.
so.
They're tired of listening. We're tired of talking.
Boom.
See you later.
Do the wolf punch thing.
No, I can't do
Try
it.
again.
There we go. He did it right there. There we go.
Wolf punch. Yeah.
Are we done?
You're done.
Wolf Punch.